there is not one question that a student's ever asked me that you can't find an answer for in that program. It's really true. It's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, if you know it well enough, I do. If you know it well enough, there's an answer that, you know, written or demonstrated or commented somewhere in there. So, yeah. Okay, so that's helpful. It's really good that you don't get confused about head voice because you nailed it. You nailed it. That's exactly the perfect point. A+. Oh, I get it. I have options. I have options, and I can train my larynx to move in these positions. Some more intuitive and familiar than others. Others I need some training, a little exotic. But regardless, I can do other things in my head voice other than, right? Yeah. So, namely, not falsetto, but maybe a PTP position. That's cool. Or belting. You know, getting good chesty belts up on top, which is the thing that all singers need and want. And is hard to get to unless you have the right content.
I think the other piece that I've been coming to terms with is I always, when I was getting to that vocal break point, I would naturally just want to open up.
Oh, yeah.
I want to just open up. Naturally, that's what I would do. And then whenever I try to not open, I can feel like there's an anchor.
Yeah.
And things aren't open, they're more narrow.
Yeah.
I always felt like that was a weak, like I was going to strain my voice doing that as opposed to strengthen it. And I've realized that that's actually a good place to be. And so I think that's where my options now have opened up, is because what I thought was actually potentially straining is actually strengthening. Does that make sense?
Be more than you can believe. So my personal story was, for years, I demonstrated and taught what we might call a reinforced falsetto, where I would get in head voice. Yeah, that configuration, and I took it to the extreme as far as I could possibly get to it. I could sing in it, and it was okay. It's okay. Some people probably thought it was great, but for me, it was never quite right. And I was frustrated for many years as to why I couldn't get more meat on top and more stability on top. And I would sing with friends and hear students and things like that. And even, here I am, the voice coach, and I was, how can I get that thicker, more meaty sound on top? And I got to a point in my own personal journey one day, really, when I was inspired by some things that I saw, and I thought to myself, you know what? I'm done trying to make an adducted sound up on top without chest voice musculature work. I'm done trying it. It's not working. It kind of works, but it's not quite right. And for years I taught and I avoided chest pulling, like pulling the chest. I avoided it because I thought just what you thought. I thought that's got to be unhealthy. You cannot do that. Anyways, fast forward. I got to that moment. I remember I was in my studio. I remember the day, and I said, from this point forward, because at this point I got nothing to lose. At this point forward, I'm just going to try. I said to myself, I'm just going to try pulling chest. I'm just a good, raw, primitive, chesty feel. I'm going to just try to pull that son of a bitch up, and I'm going to commit to it. Now, I'm going to cry into it. I'm going to have good vowels. I'm going to do other things that will mitigate my risks of hurting myself. But as far as that heavy pull feeling, I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to completely just come back to it. And that's what I'm going to do instead of what I'm going to avoid. And I started off with the dampen and release onset and the attack and release onset, which are heavier mass onsets and more aggressive. They're belting onsets. And I started smacking my vocal folds around with glottal attacks. And I never looked back. hey, 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 hey. And after about 2 or 3 weeks of smacking it around, slapping it around, I started belting in the head voice, and I finally started getting that beefy, meaty sound up on top that I've heard my colleagues do and other people do. So the moral of the story was I avoided pulling chest because I thought it was going to be damaging to my voice, and taught that for many years. And achieved something that was interesting, but it wasn't quite right. Now I know that, as even classical singers do this, all singers must train to pull chest. As crazy as that sounds, you got to pull chest. It's actually,
even if I'm not, I rarely would belt. Rarely. I've got one song which is a ballad which I'll belt a little bit, but I rarely belt. But it's part of. It's like if you want strong legs, you know, you don't just do your calves. You do squats. You know.
That's right.
The whole thing.
That's exactly right. That's a great way of looking at belting and the attack and release onset and the dampen and release onset. It's a good way of appreciating those onsets, even if they're not taking you into a sound that is your gig or this album or this band or this project or whatever, or where your heart is. They are still important to you as a light mass singer because they are the resistance training that you need to build the strength and the stability to do the workouts you need to build, to give you the resistance training you need to build a beefy, strong system that can do anything. And I would venture to say that one reason why you've defaulted to a lighter mass, or you've grown to prefer it because it's what you do and it works better for you. But there may be one reason behind that is because you've been allowing your voice to break. You haven't been pulling chest, and you haven't been able to do the other thing.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Like, as soon as you can, like, holy mackerel, get up to a nice chesty, belt, believe me, bro, you're going to be like, oh, that feels great. I love the heroism and the masculinity behind a chesty belt up high that doesn't hurt. It's a great experience. Belting powerful is a really great transformational experience.
It could change the way I write.
Yes.
Actually.
We're going to bust some myths and some ideas about the voice and vocal training that are getting in the way and preventing a lot of you guys from moving forward in your training. Okay? So go ahead, QR code, link it, go check it out. It's totally free and it's super important. You'll get a lot out of it. Thanks.